Hello and welcome to today's episode of PolicyCast. India's social security framework has undergone one of its most significant updates in recent years. The Ministry of Labour and Employment, under the Code on Social Security 2020, has notified the Employees Provident Fund Scheme, the Employees Pension Scheme, and the Employees Deposit Linked Insurance Scheme 2026. Alongside these schemes, the government has also announced important initiatives such as EPF Amnesty Scheme and the Employee Enrollment Campaign and EPFO Vishwas Scheme. Together, these reforms aim to simplify compliance, strengthen governance, expand social security coverage, and improve service delivery for millions of employers and employees. To help us understand these developments, we are joined today by Akhil Chandna, National Leader, Global People Solutions at Thornton Bharat. Akhil, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to be here.
To begin with, at a high level, are these completely new schemes or simply a replacement of the earlier EPF, EPS, and EDLI framework, Akhil?
That's probably the first question everyone is asking. The answer is that these are not entirely new social security schemes. Instead, they are modernized version of the existing framework aligned with the Code on Social Security 2020. The government has consciously retained the key features that employees are already familiar with. For example, the statutory contribution rates remains unchanged. The existing wage ceiling continues. The employees pension scheme continues to provide retirement pension, and EDLI continues to provide life insurance protection linked to EPF membership. Existing members automatically continue under the new framework without any fresh enrollment. Where the changes become significant is in the way the schemes are administered. There is a much greater emphasis on digital compliance, stronger governance, clearly defined responsibilities for employers, improved administration of exempted establishments, and simplified procedures for members. So while employees should not worry that their retirement benefits have fundamentally changed, employers should recognize that compliance expectations have become more structured and governance oriented. Overall, these schemes should be viewed as an evolution of India's existing social security framework rather than a complete replacement. Hope this answers your question.
Yes. So while the underlying benefits remain largely unchanged, the framework clearly places greater emphasis on governance, accountability, and digital compliance. So the real shift seems to be in how employers administer and manage their obligations rather than what employees receive. That leads to my next question. If the focus is now on stronger administration and compliance, what are the most important changes that employers should be paying attention to right away?
If I had to summarize it in one sentence, I would say that Provident Fund compliance is no longer just about depositing monthly contributions. So I'm repeating my statement. Provident Fund compliance is no longer just about depositing monthly contributions. The first major change is the increased focus on governance. The new schemes clearly define the responsibilities of employers and, in case of exempted establishment, trustees as well. Organizations are expected to maintain stronger internal controls and better oversight of Provident Fund administration. Second change is about digitization. EPFO has been moving steadily towards digital compliance over the past few years, and these schemes reinforce that direction. Accurate employee records, electronic filings, KYC details, nomination, and digital processing of claims are becoming increasingly important. Third, employers should pay greater attention to the entire employee lifecycle. Joining formalities, human generation, transfers, exit updates, and reconciliation of member records are all critical, because any error can delay benefits for employees. Finally, employers operating exempted Provident Fund trusts should carefully review the revised provisions governing part of exemption, management, surrender, and cancellation of exemptions. The framework is now far more comprehensive than before. These reforms are an opportunity for organizations to strengthen their compliance processes rather than simply update their policies.
Well, it sounds like organizations need to look beyond routine compliance and take a much broader view of Provident Fund governance. The emphasis on accurate records, stronger controls, and the life cycle management certainly raises the bar for employers. One of the most talked about changes under the new EPF scheme relates to withdrawals and advances. What has actually changed for employees?
It's a very important and interesting question because it relates to the withdrawals and advances and the benefits we are giving to the employees. So this is probably the change that employees can relate to the most because it directly affects access to their provident fund savings. The scheme now provides a much clearer framework on when members can access their EPF balance while continuing to preserve its primary objective as a retirement savings fund. There are broadly three situations we will be discussing now. The first is while the employee is still in service, members can continue to avail advances for specified purposes such as purchase or construction of house, repayment of a housing loan, medical treatment, higher education, marriage, disability, and other notified contingencies. The emphasis is now on making the process simpler and more technology driven. The second situation arises after leaving employment. Suppose an employee has an accumulated balance of INR 10 lakh rupees in the Provident Fund account and resigns from his employment. If the employee remains unemployed for 1 month, the scheme permits withdrawal of up to 75% of the Provident Fund balance, which would be, in our example, INR 7.5 lakh. The remaining 25% stays invested in the EPF account. This is an important change because many employees find another job within a few months. Instead of withdrawing their entire retirement savings and starting from zero again, they retain a portion of their corpus which can simply continue with the next employer. The third situation is where the employee continues to remain unemployed for 12 months. In such a case, the remaining balance of 25% may also be withdrawn, subject to the conditions prescribed under the scheme. So the overall approach is very balanced. It recognizes that employees may require financial support during the period of unemployment, while at the same time encouraging long-term retirement savings. From an employer's perspective, this also means that timely updating of exit details, KYC information, and statutory filings become extremely important because these directly impact how quickly employees receive their permanent benefits.
That's quite insightful, Akhil. The revised withdrawal framework seems to strike a balance between providing financial flexibility during periods of unemployment and preserving long-term retirement savings. It also reinforces how important accurate employer records are in ensuring employees receive timely benefits. Another area receiving considerable attention is the employees' pension scheme. What has changed under the new EPS scheme?
So interestingly, the pension structure itself has largely remained unchanged. The real change continues to the timing of withdrawal benefits. It is important to remember that the employees' pension scheme is intended to provide income after retirement and should not be confused with the Provident Fund balance. If an employee completes 10 years or more of a pensionable service, the employee continues to become eligible for a monthly pension, generally payable from 58 years of age, with the existing option of drawing a reduced pension from 50 years subject to the scheme conditions. The significant change affects employees who leave employment before completing 10 years of pensionable service. For example, if an employee joins at the age of 25 and resigns at the age of 35 after completing 7 years of pensionable service, the employee remains eligible for a pension withdrawal benefit. However, unlike the earlier framework where such withdrawal could generally be claimed shortly after leaving employment, the new scheme provides that the withdrawal benefit becomes payable only after completion of 36 months from the date of exit. The government's objective is to encourage preservation of retirement savings and discourage premature withdrawals wherever possible. Therefore, employees changing jobs should generally transfer their pensionable service rather than withdrawing benefits. as continuity provides much better long-term retirement security.
That's an important point, especially for younger employees who change jobs more frequently. Many people tend to focus on provident fund balances but may not fully appreciate the long term value of preserving their pensionable service. Along with these schemes, the government has also launched the Employee Enrollment Campaign, the EPF Amnesty Scheme 2026, and the EPFO Vishwas Scheme. What do these initiatives mean for employers?
Initiatives are extremely important because they complement the new schemes by focusing on both coverage and compliance. The Employees Enrollment Campaign seeks to bring eligible workers who are currently outside the EPF framework into the formal social security system. Employers should use this opportunity to review their workforce and ensure that every eligible employee has been appropriately enrolled. The EPF Amnesty Scheme 2026 is particularly relevant for employers. Many organizations have legacy issues such as delayed enrollments, incorrect member details, historical payroll errors, or other compliance gaps. The amnesty scheme provides a valuable opportunity to voluntarily regularize specified defaults under the prescribed framework instead of waiting for future enforcement proceedings. Third, the EPFO Vishwas scheme complements this effort by facilitating correction of eligible legacy records and improving the quality of member data. Accurate records ultimately benefit employees by reducing delays in transfers, withdrawals, and claim settlements. Taken together, these initiatives demonstrate the government's balanced approach, expanding social security coverage while giving employers an opportunity to strengthen compliance and improve historical records.
Indeed, these initiatives appear to be as much about correcting the past as they are about preparing for the future. For employers that may have historical compliance gaps, this could be a valuable opportunity to review records and strengthen processes before issues become more significant. Finally, what practical steps should employers and employees take over the next few months to prepare for these reforms?
I think the most important advice from my side is not to wait until there is an inspection or a notice from the authorities. For employers, this is an ideal time to conduct a comprehensive provident fund compliance review. Organizations should verify employee master data, UVents, Aadhaar, and PAN linkage, nominations, pending transfer, inactive accounts, whatever they can. Employers operating exempted provident fund trusts should also review their governance framework, documentation, compliance processes against the revised schemes. Payroll, HR, and finance teams should be trained on the new requirements because compliance today extends well beyond depositing monthly contribution. We've discussed about that in detail. For employees, the advice is equally simple. Verify your UN details, ensure your KYC and nominations are updated. Regular review your EPF passbook and understand the withdrawal and pension provisions before making any decision after leaving employment. Ultimately, these reforms are not merely about new rules, they represent a shift towards a more transparent, technology-driven, and accountable social security system. Organizations that strengthen compliance now will reduce future risk, while employees who understand these changes will be better placed to protect their long-term financial security.
Those are very practical takeaways, Akhil. The message seems clear. Organizations and the employees alike should use this transition period proactively, and early preparation today can help avoid compliance challenges and administrative difficulties tomorrow. Thank you so much, Akhil, for sharing your valuable insights. While the new EPF, EPS, and EDLI schemes retain the core principles of India's social security framework, they also introduce important changes in governance, compliance, and administration. Together with the Employee Enrollment Campaign, the EPF Amnesty Scheme, and the EPFO Vishwas Scheme, they represent an important opportunity for employers to strengthen compliance and for employees to better understand and protect their social security benefits. Thank you to our listeners for joining us today. We hope this episode has provided practical insights to help you navigate the evolving social security landscape. We look forward to bringing you more expert conversations and actionable insights in our upcoming episodes. Until then, stay informed and stay compliant.